Mesquite, Nevada, right on the border of Nevada and Arizona, almost into Utah. We are going to be exploring this little town today, talking about its past with Mormon pioneering, as well as a whole bunch of just basically looking for how do we make a town in the middle of the desert. This community struggled in its early years, and in fact, it was started 3 different times before it finally took. Today, come along as we take a look at the past of Mesquite as well as the present of Mesquite.
According to the Census Bureau, Mesquite is the fastest growing city in Nevada, with a little over 20,000 people currently calling this home, and an expected population of over 45,000 by 2041, with a very specific demographic growing the area: snowbirds. People coming here to spend their winter months away from the snow and ice. The area has not always enjoyed this kind of easy growth, however. In fact, in its early days, the city struggled to exist at all. Originally named Mesquite Flats for the abundance of mesquite brush found here, the area was settled by Mormon pioneers who were sent by Brigham Young. It took 3 attempts before they finally succeeded in building a town here, with the Virgin River flooding them out on previous attempts, from broken irrigation canals and major rainstorms that devastated these early settlers. Finding water in this desert land was also a major challenge. The Virgin River was very dirty and difficult to filter well, which made drinkable water hard to find. On the 3rd attempt in 1894, 6 young families made this place home, and people have lived here ever since. In 1898, the name of the town was shortened to simply Mesquite. This area was founded as a farming community, growing whatever they could to survive, including cotton, pomegranates, and grapes, which were dried and turned into raisins to be sold in other areas. This would continue on for generations until the 1970s, when the first casino opened its doors here, the Peppermill Mesquite. Since then, the commerce of the area has diversified away from being mainly a farming community, now with a plethora of casinos, golf courses, and senior snowbird housing that has now filled the area, changing this from a town barely getting by to a town that seems to be growing on its own without a whole lot of effort. There are a couple of museums here, both of which are interesting to look through, and both absolutely free, although donations are happily accepted. The first is self-proclaimed to be the only one like it in the world, the Donkey History Museum. This little storefront museum takes the viewer through all sorts of information about donkeys and mules. It talks about the rarity of mules giving birth, the military using these animals both in ancient times and in current times. It includes tons of knickknacks and collectibles of donkeys, and there are also some donkey carts, severe hoof overgrowth pieces, a military vehicle, artwork, and other really random donkey-related objects in the museum to look at. This definitely is near the top of my list of the weirdest museums that I have ever been in. The other museum is just like so many other of these little desert town museums, the Virgin Valley Heritage Museum. The building itself has a storied history. It was originally to be built as a library for the town with the help of some public funds. Using these funds, local youth were employed to bring rocks from the riverbed to be turned into the walls of the library. However, after enough rocks were scavenged to get to about the top of the door frames, the funds dried up. So, the adults took over the work on the project just to get it done. The men used large rocks closer by than all the way over at the riverbed to get the job done faster, since larger rocks take up more square footage than the little river rocks did. If you look at the outside of the building, you can see the difference in stone size toward the top of the building. This building existed as a library for about a year, but it was determined that a hospital was more needed in the community than a library was. This building served for years as the town hospital, but now serves as the museum you see today and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Inside, a very kind and informative lady told me all sorts of information about their exhibits, walked me around and told me stories about Mesquite, and generally was one of the kindest museum attendants anywhere that I have spoken with yet. There are exhibits on clothing, household goods, Native American items from the area, medical items, and so much more. There is a small garden area complete with pomegranate and grapevines growing, part of Mesquite's past, and Mesquite's first fire station out back of the museum, which was built too small for the town's first fire truck, which means the truck extended past the doors built to to contain it. Inside of that building is a cyclical picture display on town history, grape equipment used locally, and a bunch of pictures of local military men and women that served in various wars. This museum is pretty small, but is worth it, if nothing else, to hear the woman that I met talk about this great little community, the challenges it faced, and the growth it is still experiencing. Right next door to the Virgin Valley Heritage Museum is a small art gallery that is open to the public. I did not go into the art gallery during this visit, as my time was limited on this day. However, online, you can see what they offer, and it looks like a great little gallery. If you're traveling through on I-15, stop in, have lunch, and see the museums here. Or, if you're somebody looking for a place to stay in the winter, maybe stop here even longer and call this home. Be one of the people making this a snowbird destination, as it is a small town with a true small town feel, but has enough stores and restaurants to make this a comfortable and convenient place to live. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time somewhere else down the road.